Alright there, geezers, Jules here from FGS, home of the Future Game Show, and I have a question for you, goddammit. Remake? I know that sounds a bit weird, but it is definitely the question that many devs and publishers are saying, sometimes, well, shrugging like this, when looking at how to make money in the current industry. Remake? And I say this because you do not need to look that far to find remakes and remasters that are either angling for a nostalgia pop or to boost a drop in franchise interest. But I now ask you my real question. Where are all the games that actually need remakes? Where are the imaginative, offbeat and now forgotten titles that might properly get a chance to shine if just given a lick of paint? Well, that's what I'm here to answer, as I'm Jules, this is FGS, and these are 8 abandoned video games that need remakes. And you know the drill, this is the Deep Cut with Jules Gill, a baby, so expect to see games you don't know about, need to know more about, or ones you've not thought about in a long old while. And I can definitely say that's true of this next game, because we're talking about number 8, Maera Falls. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing a hat because I forgot to shave my head, and it looks like a peach that has testicle fur, so no. Not subjecting you to that. Now, if there's one thing that I love, it is a good horror game. And if there's one thing that I love even more than that, it's a horror game that is so utterly out there that I feel like my sanity is being questioned at every turn. And this is most definitely the vibe that you'll get if you were ever lucky enough to play Maera Falls for the PlayStation 1. Now, I say lucky, by the way, because this game was actually a Japanese exclusive and has only really been kept alive in the West thanks to scant emulated copies and multiple fan translations which have only really been perfected back in the year 2021, so yeah, pretty recently. However, you really do want to play this game because it's a mixture between Silent Hills and Twin Peaks. In this offbeat title, you've been sent to investigate a series of missing school children, but standing in your way are the unhelpful locals, the eerie vista of the town itself, and gameplay mechanics that seem to have been purposely built to hamper your fun at every bloody turn. Adding to this is a 7-day time limit, meaning that every move has to be considered. Sometimes the residents just aren't at home because of the time of day. They're at work, going shopping, having affairs. You cheeky little monkey, I see you. And you've got to deal with weather patterns that change frequently that hamper your investigations, and on top of it all, your character isn't exactly like an action hero, so will often just go real wide with their shots in combat. And let me tell you, friends, it doesn't feel good, but it kind of feels weirdly great at the same time. All of this fuses into a brilliant but maddening experience, which could, if given a refresh, sit alongside the likes of Deadly Premonition and Alan Wake, aka an off-kilter horror experience that will leave you questioning everything, including likely the bloody mechanics. Number 7, Team Buddies. Now, in the current era of gaming, online multiplayer is king, and while I'm definitely sad to see my sofa gathering dust and be free of gaming snack food related farts, which are genuinely pungent, it has to be said that being able to play against others all across the world really is something special. And so what better time than now than to resurrect a party game that in my opinion had it all. Violence, humour, crude language, and of course, angry little bean-shaped people. This, my friends, is Team Buddies, a PS1 title that held such a huge amount of promise and that I feel was unfairly dismissed before it even got a chance to really prove itself. In Team Buddies, you're tasked with collecting cubes that are randomly dropped into the levels that are also filled with traps and hazards, and then you use these to build weapons back at your home base, and then you can use these to obliterate the enemy teams. And if that sounds utterly chaotic, then ding 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 ding, you are absolutely right, because this was unrelentingly manic. Plus, there was a surprising amount of depth to the gameplay, as you could stack more boxes to get bigger items, but then you risk having enemies steal from your base before you've generated your latest death weapon or vehicle in some cases. Therefore, you have to assign team members to protect the base, some to go harass the enemy team, and others to go collect in boxes like a good old worker bee. I salute thee, worker bee. It is gloriously silly fun, and with a fresh coat of paint and online functionality, this could be an absolute killer, and you do not need to look far. I mean, the likes of Fall Guys are proving that right now. Come on, make it happen. And speaking of buddies, you, my friend, could do me a little favor, because if you haven't already considered subscribing to the YouTube channel known as FGS, then why not bloody do it? All right, just come on. That's what buddies do, isn't it? They support each other. And this is the thing, if you do, you'll be kept up to date with all of our daily gaming content, and you can make sure you catch the Deep Cut with Jules Gill, baby, every single Friday, the Soapbox with Nathan, our other series, Discover Something New, and also you can stay tuned for our showcases, and sometimes I do like to host the after show expansion pack, so you can go check that out too. So be a real buddy and subscribe to the FGS YouTube channel today, right now. Do it right now. Number 6, nightmare creatures. I'll tell you this for none, my friends. I bloody love Nightmare Creatures, and if you don't know what this is, it's a survival horror game for the PlayStation 1, and yes, I do realise that all of my entries so far have been PlayStation 1.
Hey, listen!
I'm a nostalgia pop for myself. It's what I do. But the one thing that I love the most about this game is the sound effect that the weird werewolf creature makes, which for me is up there with the merchant from Resident Evil 4. And I will do you a solid ass rendition right now. Wow. Tell me that's not pitch perfect. Tell me that's not 1-to-1. Tell me that's not 1-to-1. Seriously, it's kind of like the same noise that those emo lads would say before asking if you wanted to listen to one of their custom mixes entitled Badass, Sad Ass Music. Not that I definitely made something like that back in the day. Anyway, back on track, let's talk about Nightmare Creatures and how much it really is a forgotten gem of a survival horror title for the PlayStation 1, and I can't for the life of me understand why this franchise isn't going strong to this day. I mean, yeah, it did get a pretty naff sequel, and the sudden closure of the studio making the third one didn't help matters, but the original game is legit one of the best fusions of survival horror, tense atmosphere, and brutal combat, and you know what? A remake of this type of game feels perfectly suited for the horror fan of today's current age. With the rampant success of the recent Resident Evil games, which have definitely upped the action with each passing installment, Nightmare Creatures could and would scratch the same itch that horror fans are clearly yearning for. Plus, being able to cut a zombie in half with a bow staff and then watch its legs just amble about Son's torso is just something I need to see on current hardware. Just need to see it. Number 5, Garo Man. Now, I won't lie to you, my friends. Yay! I am most definitely playing the favoritism card with this next entry, as Garo Man actually did get a second chance at a revival, only to kind of botch it, so I do feel pretty cheeky asking for a third opportunity. However, first, I probably need to answer the burning question that is at the forefront of your mind. What the f*** is a guitaroo? Well, my friends, this is a weird musical instrument which, when wielded by this utter loser, transforms him into the legendary Garo Man, warrior of justice and all-around face melter. And now what this means in terms of the gameplay is a rhythm action title that has you following the wavy lines of funk, metal, samba, blues, rock, and even techno, and desperately smashing button prompts to both avoid and deal damage. Now, in practice, it is utter insanity, especially at the higher difficulty settings, but thanks to a wonderful soundtrack, amazingly silly characters, and of course, that constant switch up of battling and defending, Garo Man is just one of my favorite rhythm action video games, and say it with me, kids, all time! Plus, just between me and you, when you click start on the opening menu there and listen to that woman say his name, borderline erotic, my friend. Now this is the thing, it got a pseudo remaster for the PSP called Garo Man Lives, and even came with new songs and even a versus mode, but there was just one problem. The PSP screen was so small and the button prompts came in too quickly that it meant that on the higher difficulties it was borderline impossible, and therefore it was also borderline impossible to enjoy the thing fully. So yes, I am being a little stinker by asking that this experience gets another chance to shine, but come on. Can you deny this face? Yes, probably. Number 4, rival schools. Now, it honestly blows my tiny little rat pea brain that we do not have a new rival schools title dropping with the same frequency as, say, Street Fighter or Tekken, as in my humble opinion, this franchise is an utter ass-kicking masterpiece. Now, the concept, for those of you not in the know, is rather simple. You, as a bunch of reckless teens who have based their entire personalities around one aspect of school life or a sport apiece, are meeting up in the school parking lot to settle their differences with their fists and their fighting spirit. Now, my school, things were kind of the same, but a bit different, because in place of punches, we just played Beyblade. Let it rip, my dudes. And speaking of rip, this franchise has been on ice for decades at this point, and I cannot for the life of me figure out why. The characters were imaginative and well designed, their fighting styles were varied, and because they were tied to sports or Japanese clubs, it meant that you had wild moves that weren't tied to martial arts, and the super moves were just beautiful. Plus, on top of all of that, sprinkling like cherries on a cherry cake made of cherries, and the bowl is also cherries. You had a story about brainwashed teachers trying to rule the school that was so utterly offbeat that it couldn't help but capture your attention. Now, I realise that Capcom might not want to sully their own waters by offering up yet another fighter that could in turn steal the limelight away from Street Fighter, but to leave such a promising, unique, and downright fun concept on the shelf for so long was borderline criminal. Plus, and I'm no mathematician here, isn't it better to have 2 smash hit franchises under your belt over just one? I tell you what, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you, Samoa Joe.
So Samoa Joe, you take your 30-30 and a third chance, minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 and a third chance of winning at sacrifice.
Number 3, the Fireman. Okay friends, I've already used the won't lie to you line already. I can't do that twice or Mark's computer will explode. It's a very weird thing he has written into his contract, but you know what? I won't fib to you, my friend. Yay! I do feel like there is a distinct lack of video games based around firefighters. Wait, where are you going? Come back. No, please, I can explain. Come back, come back. I know that this sounds madder than a box of frogs that you've each just personally insulted, but when I think of a game that desperately needs a remake, for some reason, I just can't ignore the irresistible allure of the Fireman for the SNES. And why is that, I hear you ask? Well, for one, it's bloody brilliant, and for two, you get to fight anthropomorphic balls of fire with an axe. Hell yeah. Yeah. The concept is that you, as a crack team of firefighters, have to advance through a burning building, rescuing people, defeating flame-based monsters and bosses, and of course, putting out more blazes than a sprinkler going off at a stoner rock gig. It is incredible amounts of fun, and the best part is that a remake or a remaster of this title wouldn't actually even need to change the graphics, as the style and the crisp presentation offered in Human Entertainment's classic is detailed, vibrant, and cutesy that you almost forget that burning alive is probably one of the most horrifying ways to go. Second, of course, only to drowning in a vat full of bin juice while you watch your partner reveal that they've actually been cheating on you with the binman who filled up that vat. Still, back to the point, this game cakes ass, and it is so offbeat and weird that it actually stands a chance of doing well in the current era where people are just desperate for new ideas. Add in a co-op mode that this title is crying out for, and you've got a very weird winner on your hands. Number 2, Gladius. Okay, my friends, it's time for a little story time with the egg. What will Jules talk about next? As today I'm going to tell you the tale of Gladius and how it absolutely shook up my school life back in today. So there I was, sifting through the second-hand games section in my local store, and I came across Gladius, a title that marketed itself as a violent love letter to the Colosseums of old, and was wrapped in a sumptuous coating of strategy, and that also snuck a 2-player mode in there for good measure. It was, in short, an immediate purchase. So, taking the game over to my mate Liam's house, we loaded it up and figured that even if it was actually terrible, it would only be an afternoon wasted. we were still playing this game at 5 in the morning. Now this may well have been the awakening moment in me that has gone on to inform my love of strategy titles and unwavering passion for what you'd call XCOM adjacent titles. I mean, sure, Shadow of the Horned Rat, Command & Conquer, and of course the original XCOM games gave me a punishing taste, but Gladius was the first game to basically say, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to learn strategy together, and then further down the line, I'm going to kick your ass, okay? Rather than all of the other games that I've just mentioned, approach of just, you're already dead, bugger. Gladius had it all. The graphics were chunky and vibrant. The levels offered traps, pitfalls, and different heights, so you could get defensive buffs if you were above your opponent. And then there was an in-depth party management system with different skills and abilities, a pretty bloody compelling single-player campaign with tons of choices, and to top it all off, it also let you hire a group full of dogs, which we obviously did all the time so that we could say, unleash the hounds over and over at any given moment. But the one thing that Gladius didn't have, though, was sales. As this game released to rave reviews, but absolutely stinky ROI, meaning that it's languished forever since as just being another title that needed another chance and would be a perfect choice for a ground-up remake. And number 1, Red Card. So I ask you, my friends, when the hell did sports games become so hilariously unfun? I mean, seriously, and I do mean seriously, when you look at all of the major sports franchises, they're just so desperate to appear true to life that it's plain alienating to almost anyone bar utter sports fanatics. Back in the day, however, well, it was anyone's game, as the likes of SSX Tricky showed us that snowboarding through the lens of Tony Hawk's and cocaine could be hilarious fun. Ready to Rumble 2 was doling out the hits while looking like a Saturday morning cartoon. And then there was the almighty Red Card, which was teaching kids that a front drop kick that would make hardcore Holly wince is the best way to make friends on the pitch. This stupid, violent, and utterly silly title stands aloft as one of the only football games that I've 100%ed every turn enjoyed. Every other pass at the genre I've found has just had too many mechanics, too slow a pace, and to be honest, a severe lack of understanding the basic rules on my part. Therefore, even when I'd forgotten which goal was my bloody own in Red Card, I could at least hospitalise the opposition until I pointed my team in the right direction. So we need a game like this, if not exactly this, to revitalise the fart in a jar that's unleashed every year by the top few sports franchises, especially seeing that most of them nowadays are just pay-to-win card games at this point in time. So bring back this foul-loving Freddy Freaker. Red Card for life, baby. And there we go, my friends. Those were 8 abandoned video games that desperately need remakes. I hope that you enjoyed that, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below, as well as what you would pick for your version of this list, because I know I've just taken a very small sample out of the wide ocean of forgotten titles. Let me know your nostalgia pops. Pop them down in the comment section below. And if you want to chat to me further in the meantime, you can go and follow me over on my social medias, which are here, RetroJ, but the O is a 0. You can follow Mark, my lovely editor, over on his social medias over here as well. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. Even though we spoke today a lot about video game franchises that abandon brilliant games and concepts, you know what, my friend? You have not been abandoned. You are not alone. You are surrounded by people who care about you and want you to do well, all right? Friends, family, professionals in the support industry, we all care about you and want you to do well. So make sure you're speaking about your problems, all right? Because a problem shared is a problem usually solved a lot bloody quicker. Big love to you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. As always, I've been Jules. You've been awesome. Never forget that. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.